Yankees Entertainment and Sports Network.
Crowd waiting to file into Yankee Stadium, where tonight they might see the final start of Phil Hughes' Yankee career, and oh yeah, they're going to get a bobblehead again. It is time for baseball as Kia presents the Wednesday game of the week. It's the New York Yankees against the Tampa Bay Rays in the middle game of a three-game set from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, New York. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Yankees Baseball, along with Ken Singleton. I'm Michael Kay. Well, after yesterday's loss, the Yankees' tragic number is now one. A Yankee loss or a Cleveland win, and the Yankees are officially eliminated from playoff consideration here in 2013. And the way they played yesterday, it wasn't very encouraging, Kenny.
It wasn't very pretty, to say the least. The Rays jumped on Hiroki Kuroda right at the start. First batter of the game is Matt Joyce. Third pitch of the game into the seats. It was 1-0 Tampa Bay. A little later on in the inning, David DeJesus with a double. Another run scores. The Rays scored 3 in the first. DeJesus is one of the big hitters of the night. He had another double later on in the game. It was scored. Delman Young with another run. The Rays won it 7-0.
Well, how about tonight? New York Lottery pitching matchup. David Price is going to go for the Rays, and we mentioned Phil Hughes for the Yankees, and there's really no good way to spin it. He has not pitched very well all of the year.
No, the Yankees are hoping for much more from Phil Hughes. You go back to 2010. And this guy was an 18-game winner for the Yankees. And last year, he won 16 games. This year, he's won just 4 and has struggled all season long. A lot of home runs given up by Phil Hughes, particularly here in the Bronx. He's only won 1 game at Yankee Stadium. Struggled all season long. Here in Toronto on the road, that's Kobe Rasmus with a long home run. Phil Hughes hasn't won a game since July 2nd.
Well, in a moment, we'll go inside the numbers. What exactly is wrong with Phil Hughes? We'll take a look at his Yankee career as well. Again, it might be his final start. It's all coming up next, right here on Yes. This might be the last time we ever see Phil Hughes in a Yankee uniform. Certainly the last time here at Yankee Stadium. You see his career with the Yankees, some highs, some lows. In 2009, when they switched him to the bullpen, he actually helped the Yankees win a championship. 5-1 with a 1.40 ERA. 2012, 16 and 13, but this season it has not been good. Less than 5 innings he's pitched in 13 starts, and this has been a house of horrors for Phil. He is 1-9 here in the Bronx, so he'll get the start tonight against the Tampa Bay Rays. When we come back, lineups, first pitch, baseball, Yankees and the Rays coming up next right here on Yes. Jaguar. See the new model year lineup at JaguarUSA.com. By New York Yankees premium frozen pizza available in King Cullen, Western Beef, Gristides, and your local grocer. And by Dodge, visit Dodge.com or your local dealer today. Nice night here in the Bronx, a Wednesday, as the Yankees and the Rays preparing to play the middle game of this three-game set, the penultimate home game of the season for the Yankees on the schedule. And moments ago, the Yankees honored Andy Pettitte. Remember, he didn't get a day because he announced his retirement toward the end of last week. So he came out, got a nice hand from the crowd. He was watching the video of some of his career highlights, came out to home plate, and then he was presented with a signed base from Sunday's game, his last start at the stadium, by his teammates Mariano Rivera and Derek Jeter. Andy will have one more start. That's going to be on Friday in Houston. And he pitched very well in that last start on Sunday, Kenny, but didn't get much offensive support. Yeah, run support certainly was lacking on that particular day. Andy was just tremendous, as you could see that he knew it was going to be his last start here at Yankee Stadium, poured his heart out, gave everything he had, as he usually does. And certainly one of the all-time greatest pitchers that the Yankees have ever had. Now we got to look at Mariano Rivera, and just a reminder, tomorrow, the final home game in the regular season here at Yankee Stadium, and that will be the final game ever for Mariano Rivera. Now there's a chance that tomorrow's game might not mean anything when it comes to a pennant race concerning the Yankees. So I think in that case, Kenny, will certainly, under every circumstance, see him in the game. Yeah, depending on how the game goes, it might be early in the game, might be later on in the game, but you certainly will see Mariano Rivera last opportunity to pitch in the Bronx. The Yankees tonight will try to somehow keep their barely flickering playoff hopes alive. We told you the tragic number is a very skinny one. So the Yankees take the field. Phil Hughes about to take his warm-ups, and we'll take a look now at the Rays starting lineup against the Yankees. The shortstop, Ben Zobrist, will lead off, and right field is Will Myers batting second. Batting third, first baseman James Loney. The cleanup hitter, third baseman Evan Longoria. David DeJesus, he is going to play center field. He'll bat fifth, batting sixth, and DHing Delman Young. In left field, it's Matt Joyce hitting seventh. The number 8 hitter is the catcher Jose Molina, and Kelly Johnson, the second baseman, is going to bat ninth. Phil Hughes getting the start. There he is in the middle of the diamond, taking his final warm-up tosses before getting into Game 2 here of this three-game series against the Rays. You can see his overall numbers. He's made 28 starts this year, 29 appearances, and the numbers aren't very good. You can see the opponents hit at 287 against him. Let's check out the pitcher scout report brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers. He's actually subbing for CC Sabathia. CC was put on the 60-day disabled list today with that strained hamstring, and CC's season is over, and Phil Hughes will get that start tonight. And as we said, we've mentioned it several times tonight, this could be his last start as a Yankee. He'll be a free agent at the end of the season. And May 4th of this year, Phil Hughes has won one game here at Yankee Stadium this year, and that was the day he won. He beat the Oakland A's, a very good team, and it was one of the better starts that the Yankee pitcher has had all season long. 8 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, and 9 strikeouts in a game that the Yankees won 4-2. Unfortunately, the Yankees didn't see more of that type of pitching this year from Phil Hughes. Now let's check out the Yankee defense behind Phil. In the outfield, it's Soriano, Granderson, and Wells left to right. In the infield, Nunes, who's been playing a pretty good third base, he'll be there again. Ryan at short. Cano is at second. Reynolds at first. Chris Stewart is behind the plate. And Phil Hughes is on the mound. The defense presented by Geico. All right, so Zobrist is about set. Now he's ready. Hughes is ready. And let's do it here in the Bronx. First pitch is outside, and we are underway. Mike Winters is the home plate umpire. The 1-0. Driven to right field. Backing up is Wells, and he'll make the play right in front of the wall for the first out. Why don't we check out the game time weather presented by Bigelow Tea. 69 degrees, 45% humidity, not much wind. It's partly cloudy, but it is indeed comfortable. You know, that fly ball to right, Kenny, which took Wells to the wall, is really exhibit A, B, C, and D, and why Phil does not pitch well in this ballpark. He is a fly ball pitcher, and this ballpark yields home runs, especially to right field.
In right center.
The 0-1 to Will Myers. He takes it to right field, backing up is Wells, and that ball is going to be off the wall. Backing up is Granderson. He'll hustle the ball in. So a double off the wall by Will Myers.
I think one thing we've seen from Myers this year, his ability to hit the ball with power to all fields. He's got a couple home runs to right field here at Yankee Stadium. And he is definitely an up-and-coming type player. His rookie year leads all rookies in runs batted in. He kind of looked like he thought he might have had a home run, but this one's off the wall, just missed a homer. And Curtis Granderson hustling, backing up Vernon Wells will hold Myers to a double as he'll get here he comes into your picture pretty soon. There's Curtis. Out the fielders have to work as a team out there in the outfield.
Here's James Loney. Loney with a 4-game hitting streak. Had a big 2-run double yesterday. Turned a 3-0 Rays lead into 5-0. Yankees couldn't do much offensively. And there's a strike to Loney as Hughes went with the breaking ball. Loney's put together a good season. 295, 13 homers, 73 runs batted in. And that one is ripped into right center field. It is a base hit. That's going to split the outfielders and go to the wall. Myers will score. Loney's at second with an RBI, and the Rays have a 1-0 lead.
I mentioned it last night. According to Fangraphs, James Loney has the highest percentage of line drives in Major League Baseball. 29% of the balls that he puts in play are line drives. He had a line drive double here last night, almost to the same spot as this one tonight. Another line drive, going to drive in a run. The Rays take a 1-0 lead on the double by James Loney, who's a 300-plus hitter with runners in scoring position. You're right, Michael. He's done a good job for the Rays this year. Free agent signing.
Well, here is Evan Longoria. And he takes a breaking ball strike. One and one.
Longoria leads the Rays in homers. Runs batted in. Kind of struggling lately, just 5 for his last 30.
Grounded to short, bobbled by Ryan. He regains control, and the throw pulls Reynolds off the bag. That should be an E6. And it is.
You see that Ryan's not happy with himself, but I think if he took a little more time to set himself and make the throw, he would have gotten him. Because he does have that type of arm that he could have reset, but instead he's going to make the off-balance throw after juggling the ball, and it's going to be wide of the bag. A little bit more time than he thought.
So 2 on, 1 out, and that's going to bring up David DeJesus. DeJesus has played for some bad teams. Cubs, the Royals. He has a, check this out, Kenny, he has a personal .399 career winning percentage. And that's the lowest among current players in Major League Baseball. So he's played more losing games. Wow. So this must be a great time for him.
When I saw him yesterday, he was smiling. Now, I think the captain, Derek Jeter, has the highest winning percentage of any player. And, of course, Derek has played a lot longer And to keep that percentage for that long a period of time, it shows you what type of teams Derek has played for over the years.
Strike 3. De Jesus now looking. Looks like Hughes' best pitch so far is his breaking ball.
Yeah, this one is going to drop over the outside corner. Just caught a glimpse of it, and that's going to be good enough for call strike 3 for Mike Winters. There's De Jesus, who had a big night here last night with a couple of doubles, 2 runs batted in, been a hot hitter lately for these Rays, and he's headed back to the bench.
Delman Young swings and misses. The 0-1.
Mentioned last night that Delman Young had been a #1 draft pick of the Rays, moved on. He's been with the Tigers, was with the Phillies this year, was released by the Phillies. The Rays signed him, got him to AAA. They needed a right-handed hitter off the bench, occasional DH, and Delman Young finds himself as DH tonight.
One and two.
Couple of good breaking balls for swings and misses to Delman Young. Don't hang one though. We saw that last night. He hit one well off the wall in center.
And the 1-2. High fly ball. Left field. Soriano will make the play, and that will do it. But the Rays get a run on 2 hits, 1 error, and 2 men left. Rays 1. Yankees coming to bat. Try to protect it against this Yankee starting lineup presented by Lexus. Eduardo Nunes, the third baseman, will lead off, batting second and DHing Alex Rodriguez. Robinson Cano at second base will hit third. Cleaning up the left fielder Alfonso Soriano. Vernon Wells in right field will bat fifth. Batting sixth, playing first base, Mark Reynolds. Curtis Granderson in center field will bat seventh. Batting eighth, playing shortstop, Brendan Ryan. And Chris Stewart is going to catch, and he will bat ninth.
Reigning Cy Young Award winner David Price on the mound for the Rays tonight. He's 8-4 in his career against the Yankees and 1-1 this year. And you can see what he's done so far this season. Had a little problem with an injury. Went on the DL early this year. Let's check out our pitcher scouting report brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers. Lately, the price is not right. He's lost 3 consecutive decisions. First time that's ever happened in his career. He's not been showcasing the skills that has him as the reigning Cy Young Award winner. And for a while there, he had won 7 out of 8 decisions. And the Rays bid in the playoffs. If the price is not right, you don't think they're going to go very far in the playoffs this season. So he has to get back on track.
Well, here is Nunes. Average at 257. And Price deals. A strike.
This is only the second time that Nunes has led off this year. It's kind of a free swinger. He's got a 5-game hitting streak going. Maybe David Price knows that. Made him a little uncomfortable at the plate.
Price has kind of an odd delivery. It almost like he's starting in a full windup and then kind of midway through it goes into a stretch.
It's almost like part stretch, part windup, and I think that makes things more compact. You know, very rarely you see pitchers bring the ball and the glove over their heads anymore, like the elongated windups. They're trying to make everything compact. We saw, was it Chris Tillman of Baltimore is doing the same thing as a right-hander. He used to have a more prolonged lineup, windup. Here's what Michael's talking about: the turn, the leg lift, and the delivery. It must be working for Price because he's had his best control he's ever had.
Hammered in the left center. That's going to be a base hit up against the wall. And Nunes somehow keeps his helmet on and picks up a double.
Well, Michael called it. It is true. This is going to be double number 15 on the season for Nunes. He rips this one to the gap. Not much chance for Joyce or DeJesus. And as he said, helmet's going along for the ride. Yeah, and this look like he's got a little hitch to get along there, doesn't it?
Yep. Here's A-Rod, 2 hits in his last 26 at bats.
Noticed last night that Matt Moore was throwing, and he threw everybody quite a few changeups, but really the A-Rod got quite a few of them. They keep the changeups down and away, and the fastballs up and in. Try to tie him up with the fastballs.
Count 0-2.
Price lost to the Yankees way back on April 23rd at Tropicana Field. Yankees won 4-3. He beat the Yankees August 24th as Tampa Bay won 4-2 at Tropicana Field. So this is his first start at Yankee Stadium this year.
Well, David Price is going to be forever etched in Yankee lore.
Yeah.
Because he's the pitcher who served up Derek Jeter's 3,000th hit, a home run, leading to that memorable day at the stadium where Jeter got the winning hit as well. Needed 2 hits to get to 3,000, got a first inning single and then the home run for him, hit number 3,000.
There's the fastball in that just missed. And not the patch on the back, Marco. That was a great call. I mean, just you think about it, that call's going to go. Every time they show that, it's going to be you.
Derek did all the work, Kenny.
Yes, he did. But, you know, somebody had to let people know about it.
The 1-2. Strike 3. A-Rod down with him.
Well, they showed A-Rod everything. A changeup, good breaking ball, fastball in to put him away, and the Nunes does not advance from second base.
Well, why don't we check out the Rays defense presented by Geico. Joyce, DeJesus, and Myers left to right in the outfield. Infield, Longoria, Zobrist, Kelly Johnson, and James Loney. That's third to first. The veteran Molina, former Yankee, is behind the plate. David Price is on the mound. Now, Cano, in the play on Sunday, tried to score the tying run on a Nunes single. He was at second, Cano was. Slid into home plate and really hurt his left ankle. And didn't seem like he was going to stay in the game. He did. And also insisted on playing yesterday. Cano is one of the few players in this Yankee lineup that plays every single day. I mean, you might have a guy and all of a sudden he's not in the lineup, and Girardi will say, well, he's played 7 days in a row. Every day Cano plays, no matter what. And there is a toughness to him, a consistency that he's in the lineup all the time.
Cano has had 5 starts as a designated hitter. Every other game he's been in the field. This is what Michael's talking about in a bid to tie the ball game up. Throw's going to be on the money. Cano slides in, comes up limping, and the Yankees fail to tie the ball game. In Cano's final at bat last night, he had a double to the gap in left center field. It was his 39th double of the year. If he can get one more double, that would be his 6th season with 40 or more doubles. It would be his 7th season with 40 or more doubles. And that would tie him with Lou Gehrig for the Yankee record. 40 more doubles in a season, 7 times. When you start getting up there with Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth and players like that in any number in Yankee history, that tells you what type of hitter you're dealing with.
Yankees baseball available in Spanish by hitting the SAP button on your remote. SAP is brought to you by Infinity. Rays get a run in the top of the first, or in the bottom of the first. Runner on second, 1 out for the Yanks. Cano at the plate. Driven out to left field. That ball is going to be off the wall. Nunes will score. Cano slides in with a double. The game is tied at 1.
And there's the 40th double. And now he and Lou Gehrig 7 times have had 40 or more doubles in a season, but pitch up out over the plate. He almost drove it out of the ballpark. Gets the base of the wall. Matt Joyce makes a pretty good throw, but Cano's going in the back door. You can see get that left hand in there. Throw a little bit on the third base side of second. Cano turns the bag, but holds on. As Kelly Johnson finds the tag.
There's a list that Kenny's talking about. Wow.
Yeah, in the scouting report I mentioned, Price has not been right lately. He's only had 1-2-3 inning in his last 18 innings. So the Rays are hoping he can turn it around before playoff time.
Cano leads off second. And Price deals to Soriano. 1-2. Missed outside, 2-2.
Mike, I've been thinking about David Price, and I mentioned the fact he's had the best control he's ever had. Only 1.4 walks per 9 innings this year. But he's been hit a lot lately. Do you think it's because he's throwing too many strikes and too good of strikes, as opposed to, you know, missing every once in a while and, you know, maybe going a little deeper in counts? Too many strikes, middle of the plate, been getting hit lately.
And they need him.
Oh, definitely.
For the postseason. They're not in yet, but they look like they have a pretty good chance.
I mean, there are strikes and there are strikes that are in the middle of the plate that get hit.
In Cleveland, White Sox won. Cleveland nothing. Cleveland with that dramatic win on Jason Giambi's pinch hit 2-run walk-off home run yesterday after their closer Chris Perez had blown the save in the top of the inning.
There was an example of it right there, what I was talking about. Price with a good 94-mile-an-hour fastball, but it was right there for Soriano to get to, and he fouled it off. Right down Broadway.
The 2-2. Still 2-2. Right now, the way it's set up, Price is lined up to start the wild card game. Now, you're a wild card winner. You got to win that game. If you don't, you really feel like you made the playoffs.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
The 2-2. Got the fastball by him. Soriano down on strikes.
How about the Texas Rangers last year? Leading division just about every day until the final day of the season. The A's overtake them. Then they have to play the one wild card game against Baltimore at home, and they lose that. And the season's over.
And now there's talk that if they don't make the playoffs this year, Ron Washington's job could be in trouble.
Well, right now, they're not in.
Cleveland wants to keep him out. Here's Vernon Wells. Vernon 2 hits in his last 27 at-bats. There's a strike. Vernon, one of the players that really helped carry the Yankees early. But the Yankees have had hard times here in the last month, and they are almost on the outside looking in. One more loss will officially put them there. High fly ball to De Jesus. He puts it away, and that will do it. But the Yankees tied the score. A couple of doubles, one by Nunes, one by Cano. We go to the second. One more. Conversation brought to you by Toyota. Prius is the official hybrid vehicle of the Yankees. Here's how we started the conversation. Besides Enter Sandman, if you could dedicate any song to Mariano Rivera, what would it be and why? Unforgettable by Nat King Cole. Bo has given us a lifetime of wonderful memories, and he will be missed dearly, said J.T. Marlin.
That'll be a lifetime memory, too.
I thought I kept in key there. Follow Yes Network and my voice and tweet us your responses using hashtag Yankees Prius to keep the conversation going. There's a strike.
Matt Joyce, we showed you in our open, got the game started last night for the Rays. Oh, I'm still chuckling here with the home run, leading it off. He's batted everywhere in the Rays lineup but 8th this year. And he missed that by 1 spot tonight. He's batting 7th in the lineup tonight. So very versatile hitter for Joe Madden and the Rays.
Good pitch, tied him up. Count 3-2.
You got any other songs you're going to put on your album, Mike?
I'll tell you later. watching this, right, Kenny?
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Some of your cousin's old players are on that team.
Yeah. They're going to have a fun team this year. I tell you, we got to go to a game this winter. I'll come up.
All right.
Yeah.
And we just taped a center stage with Darren Williams yesterday. So you have to look out for that.
Yeah, one of the best point guards in the league.
Yep. Two. Slowly rolled left side. Ryan made it close, scooped by Reynolds, but a base hit for Joyce. Very slow developing play.
Well, off the end of the bat, but Phil Hughes had fallen off just far enough to the first base side he couldn't get it. That was like the perfect storm for an infield hit for Matt Joyce. Good try by Ryan. Good scoop by Reynolds. But Matt Joyce has himself an infield hit. Good last stretch for the bag. Here's a guy who was 4 for 44 coming into tonight's game in the month of September.
Here is Jose Molina. Molina has come up to the plate now 303 times, including this at bat, in 97 games, and that's a career high for him. Previous high was with the Yankees in 2008, when he came to the plate 297 times in 100 games. Never been a great hitter, but the 243, boy, you'll take that. The way he catches, the way he frames pitches, handles the pitching staff, and that's why the Rays got him. Remember, he was on the 2009 championship team, caught A.J. Burnett. And a 1-2 count now to Molina.
Phil Hughes is ever to throw a ground ball to somebody, this would be the guy, because Jose Molina's grounded into 10 double plays this year. That's a career high. And most of the balls he puts in play are on the ground, over 50%. Not this time.
2008, Jose Molina hit the last home run at the old Yankee Stadium. A little bit of a smile on his face. And did you know, Kenny, that in the old original Yankee Stadium, Duke Sims had the final home run
before they refurbished it?
Yes. So catchers doing the job. There's Kelly Johnson.
Duke Sims. It's a name from the past.
Now, we told you that if the Yankees lose one more game or the Indians win, they will officially be eliminated from a possible playoff spot. If that happens tonight, Kenny, tomorrow night's game at the stadium would be the first meaningless game the Yankees have played at home since October 3rd of 1993. Now, a lot of people will say, well, how about that last game at the old Yankee Stadium, because the Yankees didn't make the playoffs that year. When they played that final game against the Orioles, which was on September 21st, their tragic number was 1. So they were still mathematically in it. So 20 years of home games without having a meaningless game.
See Matt Joyce looking across the diamond at third base coach Tom Foley to see if he's on the move on this 3-2 pitch with one out. Let's see what the Rays have in store here. Not going.
Johnson walks. The leash is very short on Hughes. The last 2 times he started and got into any trouble, second, third inning, David Huff got up. And even when he wasn't on a short leash, he has pitched fewer than 5 innings in 13 starts this year. Pitch to Zobrist. There's a strike.
Zobrist hit the ball well his first time up. He sent Vernon Wells to the wall in right field. It's like David Huff. Left-handers getting up. Starting to heat up in the bullpen.
Popped up. A long run for Soriano, but he gets there to make the play. And the throw gets by Cano. Backed up by Reynolds, and that allows Joyce to move to third. So it's going to be an error on Soriano on the throw.
We get another look. As Michael said, a long run for Soriano, who is playing towards left center field. Then he uncorks the throw that hits the runner, Matt Joyce. Cano can't handle it, and Joyce is going to move on to third base. Okay, that's an E7.
There's Will Myers. Double to right. That was in the first inning. Came around to score. It's 1-1. Oh, and 1.
Between the major leagues and AAA this year, Will Myers has driven in 108 runs. 51 in the big leagues, 57 in the minors.
Cleveland now has moved ahead of the White Sox 2-1 in the bottom of the second inning. Fly ball, right field. And Wells puts it away for the final out. No runs you hit, 1 error and 2 men left. We go to the bottom of the second. It's a 1-1 game. injury report brought to you by Montefiore Medical Center, Inspired Medicine. Little roster move coinciding with injuries. Travis Hafner was activated from the 60-day DL with those shoulder issues, and CeCe placed on the 60-day DL with a strained hamstring, a grade 2 strain. CeCe said yesterday he will come back better next year and be the pitcher that the Yankees expect. Reynolds fouls it off.
Yeah, you're always hoping that, sometimes CeCe gets off the slow starts, but then he'd usually runs off a string of 7 or 8 consecutive winning decisions that did not come this year. You look at his record early in the season, well, it's 2-3, and then all of a sudden you look up the end of June into July, he's 10-3.
He didn't have that this year.
No, not at all.
The 1-2. Ripped for a base hit to right center. DeJesus cuts it off. And Reynolds picks up a leadoff single here in the second.
Hey, did you see the reaction of David Price when that ball was hit by Mark Reynolds? Didn't have time to move his glove, but he had time to move his head. And I don't think it was that close, but he didn't take any chances. Another look. Can't get the glove up, but he can move his head.
Here's Granderson. Curtis has not seemed right at the plate the last week or so. 1 for 13 here on the homestand, 2 for his last 18. Truncated season for him with the injuries.
It's 98 games. Think about it. Price is not really one of those pitchers that you're looking to break out of a slump against. Although Curtis is 9 for 48 against him. 4 of the 9 hits are home runs. But 20 of his outs have been strikeouts against Price.
High fly ball. Right center. On the track. Or in front of the track, DeJesus makes the play. Tagging is Reynolds. He gets in ahead of the tag. Well, we talked about Granderson's injury. There have been so many of them, and Girardi spoke today before the game about some of the injuries and which ones were the worst.
The one that people talk about from an emotion standpoint was how bad that everyone felt when Curtis had his hand broke the second time. You could just see the difficulty that he was having, and I think we all kind of felt it for him because what he's meant to this team and the type of person he is, and that I think that was hard for all of us.
Well, others might have other ideas, especially how much was missing in the lineup when certain people went down. But strangely, Kenny, not nearly the best player, but this last, most recent collapse by this team coincides directly with Brett Gardner. Amazingly enough, he's an important part of this team. He ignites the offense, and when he checked his swing on that Friday in Boston, this team has not been the same.
And at the time, he was playing very well, getting big hits early in ball games to get things started.
Which seemed to be a double.
Yeah. I think what Joe was relating to as far as Granderson was concerned, that Curtis got hit his first time up in spring training, missed all that time, came back, played 8 games, and then got hit again.
Then you've got the multiple DL stints of Derek.
Yeah.
Teixeira. Ryan goes down on strikes.
What, Teixeira had 15 games this year?
And he goes back on the DL. So it's been one after the other, and all the time that Alex spent on the DL recovering from the hip surgery, and Euclid, who was supposed to take over for Alex, and all of the shortstops, and Jason Nix, one of the glue guys on the team, gets hurt, and Nunes goes on the DL twice, on and on and on, and that's why it's kind of remarkable that they hung as long as they did. Here's Chris Stewart with a runner on second and 2 outs now. There's a strike.
All in all, I think it became too much to bear and too much to try and overcome. And it seemed like when somebody was working their way back in, somebody was on the way out. And for an extended period of time.
One and one on Stewart.
We've talked about Price's control. He's faced 9 batters, 9 first pitch strikes.
Grounded softly to first, and Loney takes it himself, and that'll do it. No runs, a hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. We've played 2 at the stadium. It's a 1-1 game. All right, we go to the 3rd inning, and Tampa Bay, 88-69. Let's take a look at the recap of their season, brought to you by Pepsi.
And once again, the solid pitching has led this team for Joe Madden. The Rays have held opponents to 1 run or less 38 times, and they've held opponents to 5 hits or less 45 times. That's most of the major leagues. The other stat, most in the American League. Defensive turnaround, they've cut their errors by more than half from last year. They had 114 errors. Only 56 this year. They and the Orioles could break the all-time record of 65 set by the Mariners in 2003. And once again, a very entertaining team, last in the American League in attendance. I think last year they became the first 90-win team to finish last in attendance, and that if they win 2 more games this year, that'll give them 90, and that's going to happen again. They don't play any more home games.
There's always been a problem, obviously, in the American League. It's been talked about for years. And Kenny, you've been there. And although it's not the most beautiful stadium in the world, the Lincoln School Board 1-1, I don't think it's that. I mean, it's certainly not a terrible experience. It's got to be the location of the park.
I think there's several layers to the issue of why they can't get people into the ballpark. And, you know, some people say it's the population. There's a lot of retirees on the fixed incomes, that sort of thing. Their TV ratings are pretty good. People watch them. They just don't go to the ballpark.
Hammer to right field, and that goes past Vernon Wells and rolls to the wall. Loney will get to second with a leadout double here in the third. Second double for Loney.
Yeah, it's 31st of the year, and this one had a lot of overspin as it looked like it might have ticked Wells' glove. Rolls on by him. There's the effort. Tries to lay out. Can't come up with it. And James Loney, a line drive hitter, with another one. You see this one on Yes No, brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealer.
Here's Evan Longoria, reached on in E6 his first time.
I was going to say, Loney's just hitting the ball hard.
Rays are 10-7 this year against the Yankees.
Take a look at what happened. It's a little hard to see the ball when you do that.
Popped up. Long run, and it falls in front of Wells for a base hit. So first and third, nobody out. Stay tuned during the sixth inning to see what's on tomorrow's Fox and Friends. Mornings are better with friends. Fox and Friends, weekdays at 6 a.m. on the Fox News Channel.
A couple of inches either way for Houston. In this inning, he would have 2 outs. Longoria really didn't tattoo that last one. Got jammed and dropped it in. Now instead of 2 outs, he's got runners on the corners with nobody out.
Born in Brooklyn, raised in Manalapan, and played baseball at Rutgers. So a lot of local ties here for David DeJesus. Kenny, I've got a question. I don't even think you have the answer. If you have so little faith in Phil Hughes that you ended the bullpen up in the second inning, why is he starting at all?
You're thinking Huff should be starting the game?
I know that Huff started once and he was terrible, but I mean, it's kind of embarrassing to the pitcher the first time he struggles in the second inning, and you had Huff up. So why start him if you have so little faith in him?
Yeah, it's almost as if they said, we've seen this movie before. Yeah. Let's try and get a different ending to it.
But if you've seen a movie so many times that you don't like it, you don't go to the theater anymore.
Yeah, you don't.
There's a base hit to left field, as Loney will score, and that gives the Rays a 2-1 lead. They throw behind Longoria, and it just gets back. So an RBI single for DeJesus. Here comes Larry Rothschild.
DeJesus now has 7 runs batted in his last 7 games. He's starting to heat up as Loney can trot home with the go-ahead run.
7 in his last 7, and he had 2 ribbies in his previous 42.
just getting back as Longoria. Once again, the helmet coming down over the eyes. That is Nunes like. See how the Rays would have played this. I don't expect Delman Young to be bunting. I don't think he's that type of hitter. I mean, when you're a designated hitter, you are just that, a hitter.
Now, Delman Young, last year, really stained his reputation. It's going to be something that stays with him forever. The Tigers were in town in April and had an anti-Semitic rant in front of a hotel on 6th Avenue and got into it with some tourists, rolling around on the ground with one of them. Ended up having to go to anger management, was put on baseball's restricted list. And when something like that happens, you're going to have to prove a lot of people that you've changed.
This goes back all the way to when he signed with the Rays. Remember, in the minor leagues, he had an issue with an umpire. He threw a bat that I don't know if it was inadvertently hit him, but it did hit an umpire.
Grounded to third, grabbed there by Nunes, and Longoria get in ahead of the tag. Bases loaded.
Now here comes Joe Girardi to argue the point. He thinks that Nunes beat the play at third base and made the tag, beat Longoria to the bag. We take another look. And it looks like he did beat him. If he touched the bag, he did beat him. Here's another look. There's a stretch by Longoria.
Yeah, he beat him.
Yeah, he did beat him. He was out at third base. Going to see it in Yesmo.
Right there.
Oh, he is out. You can see there is plenty of daylight there.
Now, that would be something that next year you could actually look at on replay. But now it's Tim Timmons against Girardi, but he was out.
So that will go as a hit for Delman Young.
So Girardi goes from Timmons to Hughes, and he's going to take Hughes out of the game. That could be the last time we see Phil Hughes in Yankee pinstripes as he departs in his final home start of the year. So David Huff will come on with the bases loaded and nobody out to face Matt Joyce.
had a couple big years as a starter, had a big year out of the bullpen. Has struggled this year. This year has been a struggle for him, and from a personal standpoint, if you're going to pick a year to struggle as a player, this is not the year to do it.
Meaning that this is a year he becomes a free agent. So gave up 7 hits and 2 runs, 2+ innings. The bases left loaded. They're all his responsibility. So he threw 51 pitches tonight. And Girardi makes the call to the bullpen, brought to you by AT&T.
Yeah, in defense of Phil Hughes in this inning. Play that Wells did not make, the blooper, the call in third, all did not go his way.
So here's David Huff. And a strike. Sky to center field. Catch is made. The throw goes to third. Scoring is Longoria. Sac fly for Joyce. And it's 3-1 Rays.
Situational hitting by Matt Joyce. Picks up an RBI. He's had a hit tonight as well. And run charge that Phil Hughes. It's now 3-1 Tampa Bay.
18-win year. He went to the All-Star game. Last year, 16 wins. And if you have time tonight and you're near your computer, check out what he did in 2009 out of the bullpen. He's one of the reasons the Yankees won the World Series. He was dominant. Came in through gas, just overpowering. ERA in the 1s.
And I'm also believe that of any pitcher drafted #1 by the Yankees, he's got the most wins.
Sometimes there are highly touted groups of pitchers. I mean, we saw it with Generation K with the Mets, and they didn't pan out. Most recently with the Yankees, the Killer Bees. They have not panned out. But when Hughes, Kennedy, and Jabba came up, they thought, here's 60% of the rotation for the next 10 years. Catches made by Reynolds, retiring Molina. We talked about 09, so we'll save you the trip to your computer. 44 games, 5-1, 1.40.
Look at the batting average against.
Ian Kennedy was traded in the 3-way deal with the Tigers that brought Granderson here, and Jabba with the Jabba rules and the injuries, the trampoline accident, then the Tommy John surgery. He's been a disappointment from what they expected, and now what a miserable end of 2013 for Phil Hughes. First and second, 2 outs.
I think one of the things that affected Hughes in particular, not only this year but other years as well, this year he has the highest percentage of 0-2 counts in the American League. 27% of the hitters that he's faced. It's better than 1 out of every 4. He gets to 0-2, but he can't finish them off. And his pitch count went up because of foul balls. And I think if he could, develop a better changeup or a splitter somewhere, that could get some hitters off that fastball a little bit better and get some more strikeouts. But it might not be here in a Yankee uniform.
Now, in all probability, it will not be here because a tender offer is about $14 million for 1 year. I don't think the Yankees want to pay Phil that off this season. So, in all likelihood, he'll go somewhere else, and he might blossom somewhere else. And that's not to say the Yankees would be wrong. I don't know if he can do it here in this ballpark. So maybe he goes to a ballpark that's bigger and more forgiving to long fly balls. Ground ball up the middle, and Ryan beats Young to the bag, and Huff comes on and does a nice job. With 2 runs, 4 hits, and 2 left, and we might have seen Phil Hughes for the last time. by the Kia Optima Limited Midsize Sedan, Elegance Performance Technology. By Johnny Walker, please drink responsibly. And by new fast-acting Advil, nothing works faster. Lincoln scoreboard 3-1 Tampa Bay as we go to the bottom of the third inning. And a breaking ball strike to Eduardo Nunes, who doubled and scored in the first inning.
Ran his hitting streak to 6 consecutive games.
Deep to left field. There it goes. See ya. Home run Nunes. 3-2 Tampa Bay.
Looked like a hanging breaking ball. And Nunes went to town. Ooh, right down Nunes Boulevard. And he knew it. Into the seats.
Here's A-Rod. And there's the strike.
Another look. Oh. Touched off. And a booming double, and now a long home run for Nunes tonight. 2 for 2. Scored both Yankee runs.
Grounded softly to short. Zobrist. 1 out. So here's Cano now. RBI double in the first inning, giving him 7 straight seasons of 40 or more doubles. And he's one of 6 Yankees who record 25 or more home runs in at least 5 straight years. Grounded to first. Two outs. And that's going to bring up Soriano. While Phil Hughes started, failed to finish the 5th inning. He's done that 14 times this year. The last starter in the big leagues to go 14 times of 5 or less was Sean Bergman of the 1995 Tigers. And Phil is the first Yankee to ever do it. Count 1-2. Strike 3. Soriano has struck out twice against Price. But the Yankees creep closer. Nunes took a hanging breaking ball and hung a 1 on the scoreboard. A home run for him. It's 3-2 Tampa Bay. 866-NY. Quit for free help today. David Price made his Major League debut on September 14, 2008 at the old Yankee Stadium. Who was the only Yankee to hit a home run off of him that day? We'll find out at the bottom of the inning. Huff deals the Zobrist tie, 1-0. Today would have been Phil Rizzuto's 96th birthday.
Scooter.
And if Phil were indeed still around, I'm sure he would wish Bald Vinny of the Bleacher Creatures a happy birthday because he shares the same birthday.
Holy cow, Bald Vinny's birthday.
There he is, Vinny Milano. Happy birthday.
Still think of Scooter making the call on Roger Maris' 61st home run, a classic. Final day of the season. Tracy Stallard of the Boston Red Sox served it up, and Maris broke Babe Ruth's record. Holy cow, this could be it.
Fly ball left field. I'll tell you what, when I was growing up as a Yankee fan, there were 4 male voices in my house. My dad, Rizzuto, Messer, and White. Every game they were on.
Are you saying you had no say?
No, I was a very quiet child, making up for it now. There's Will Myers.
Well, 3 good ones, Michael. And your dad, the 4th.
Check out Will Myers on the Jeep Hitter Scouting Report.
It leads all Major League rookies in runs batted in with 51. And you saw that Kevin Moss in 1990. The last rookie to lead rookies in home runs in less than 90 games. Kevin Moss played 79 games that year and had 21 homers for the Yankees. And Myers is finishing off strong, hitting .314 this month of September. Coming into tonight's game, he's 1 for 2, so that's gone up a little bit. Remember Kevin Moss?
Oh,
don't
my
you?
goodness. It was like a comet through the sky. Just he took the city by storm. Good-looking guy, left-handed power hitter, and all he did was hit home runs, and then the league caught up with him, and he never made adjustments.
21 home runs in 79 games. The maximum number of games that Myers can play would be 87 this year, and he trails the Big O, Oswaldo Arcia, of the Twins by 1. So if he can either tie him or pass him in these next 4 games, he will have done something that only Kevin Moss has done the last 55 years.
He doesn't do it there as he goes down looking. Well, Kenny, we said it would have been Phil's 96, and you always remembered his call, and here it is.
Maris is going to hit number 61. Here's the windup. Fastball hit deep to right. It's going to be it. Way back there.
You know, Michael, I remember that day. It was a Sunday, and late in the baseball season, and the Giants were playing football. So I was going back and forth, and I just happened to turn when Maris got up and hit that home run.
And I know you really did have to get up and turn. There was no remote. You had to twist that knob.
I think that was it was the. Yeah, my dad said, "Get up and turn back to the game."
I mean, they're a generation of kids that have no idea that you would have to get up and change the channel. And there were only about 8 of them.
It might have been less than that when I first started watching TV. You notice the highlight was in black and white. There wasn't any color TVs back then.
James Loney works a walk. He's been on base all 3 times. Remember who caught the ball?
Sal Durante. Yeah. I remember the picture of him in the newspapers the next day, handing the ball to Roger Maris.
Here's Evan Longoria. Reached on a throwing error by Ryan, then single to right, a little bloop single right. One.
That was a great summer of Yankee baseball. A lot of people say that was the best Yankee team of all time. You know, people who 27 Yankees considered maybe the best, but the 61 team from my childhood. I mean, those guys were awesome.
They said you got to throw in the 98 Yanks too.
Yeah, you do, because they won more games. But the 61 team set the team record for home runs. It stood throughout baseball until the Mariners broke it, I think, in the 90s. Maris hit 61 home runs. Mickey Mantle hit 54 that year. Missed the last week of the season with an injury. I think the Yankees had 7 players with 20 or more home runs, and they did it set the record without the designated hitter.
That's off the glove of Stewart as Loney moves to second. They're going to give him a pass ball.
This is going to be a pass ball, and now he's out talking to Huff. So I'm not so sure this was kind of a cross up. Really shouldn't have been. Man was on first base. Signs are pretty simple.
So Huff, a scoreless 4th inning, no runs, no hits, no errors, 1 left. At the bottom of the 4th, 3-2 Rays. Price made his Major League debut September 14th of 08 at Old Yankee Stadium. Who was the only Yankee to hit a home run off of him that day? I'm going to make you wait one more pitch because that's how we roll.
At least for tonight.
Vernon Wells will lead off.
I think it's Derek Jeter.
Who is better than you?
He got David Price for the first home run he ever gave up.
And that was Derek's last home run at Old Yankee Stadium. Wow.
He and Price will link more than they think, huh? Just saw that highlight of Roger Maris's home run. That was October 1st, 1961. And it was a good day in New York, both football and baseball. Of course, Maris with the record, but that turned out to be the only run of the game.
Popped up. Loney makes the play. And we also found out the score of the Giants game you were watching. Giants won at Washington 24-21.
And people might be saying, well, why were the Giants on the road that day? Because the Giants and the Yankees both shared Yankee Stadium in those days.
Yeah, they really would have been running into each other. Mark Reynolds takes a strike.
You know, I can recall going to the Old Yankee Stadium to see the Giants. I'd play the Browns, and it was so cold that day. My feet froze, and I must have been about 11 or 12 years old, but I told myself I would never, ever go to a pro football game again unless it was 50 degrees.
Now you have broken that because you've been to Ravens games where it's cold.
No, I haven't.
So you don't go.
No. You know, there were no HD TVs in those days. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There are now. Take advantage of it. Early season games, yeah, I'll go.
Kenny Goodell on the line.
Hey, that's all right.
Warm it up.
It's not my sport.
That one is popped up. A nice running play by Joyce for the second out.
Nice long run by Joyce. Ben Zobrist making the start at shortstop tonight. He's well, you can play him all over the field. This is Zobrist's 9th start at shortstop, so he's kind of an onlooker here. Matt Joyce do the heavy lifting on that play. Zobrist a very versatile player.
And a strike to Granderson.
Zobrist has started in right field, left field, shortstop, but mostly second base. Anderson hit the ball well his first time up, but picked on the wrong part of the ballpark, straight away center field. I mentioned before it's been kind of all or nothing for Curtis against David Price. I don't think there are too many left-handed hitters have 4 home runs off David Price, but Granderson does.
The 1-2. 2-2. Line into right field, a base hit for Granderson.
Well, it's only his 10th hit in 50 at bats against David Price. Kind of middle, kind of up. Didn't really hit it all that hard, but got it over Kelly Johnson's head. Has himself a base hit.
So here is Brendan Ryan, who struck out in the second. As a Yankee, Ryan is 10 for 41. And nobody wants to settle Kenny, but with what he's shown at shortstop, if you could get him to hit 250, he could start at shortstop.
I think he sounds like a Kevin Long project. Look out. Gosh. Here's quickness. Ultimate quickness.
And there's a base hit. Granderson around second. He'll go to third. The throw to third not in time. Yankees runners on the corners with 2 outs.
Well, Ryan using that hole with Granderson being held on. Kind of an inside-out swing. Forces it through the right side. Out of the reach of Loney. Ball not hit hard, so Granderson has time to go to third. Myers starts it in that direction. Yankees on the corners with 2 down.
So here's Chris Stewart. Stewart grounded out to first. That was in the second. Tying runs at third base for the Yankees. It's 3-2 Rays, bottom of the 4th inning. And he bunts. Grabbed there by Molina, and they get Stewart for the final out. Yankees, no runs, 2 hits, and 2 men left on base. Let's go to the 5th. 3-2 Rays. Eliminate the Yankees no matter what happens on this field today. David Huff is on in relief for the past couple of innings of Phil Hughes, and that gives us our MetLife I Can Do This stat of the game. Huff has pitched well, and the Yankee bullpen this season has done well. 29-14, the highest winning percentage in Major League Baseball. Only the Indians are close. They're second at 32-16 for 667. De Jesus takes pitch outside. Kia scoreboard 3-2. Tampa Bay leads.
Bullpen's been a strength for the majority of the season for the Yankees, and that number kind of backs that up.
That one is drilled to right field. That ball is off the glove of Wells and then drops to the warning track as De Jesus gets himself a double.
Well, Wells has been close all night long. And once again, it looks like a ball ticks off his glove. Off the glove, off the wall, and De Jesus has himself another double. That's his third double in 2 games. Oh, reaching but can't haul it in.
There's Delman Young. Popped up right side. No one will get there. The 0-1. Hammered foul. Next that fan. A little bit happier. Already happy, but this just heightens it. The 0-2.
I went to a lot of games. I never got a ball in a game.
Neither did I. You never caught one? I mean, I don't know if
as a fan, never.
No, I know as a player.
No, never came close. Let's put it that way. Maybe it's just too far away.
And back then, that ball gets away from Stewart. Well, I tell you what. I know Chris Stewart's a good defensive catcher, but he must really be fatigued because the last month or so, balls are getting by him that would never get by him.
Off the glove, off the heel, and then rolls away, and that's going to be a wild pitch because in the dirt. But Michael's right. We've seen Chris Stewart kick that ball right in front of him, and the runner cannot advance. Now the Yankees are going to have to bring the infield in, with the exception of Ryan at short. He's about halfway.
And also back when we went to games, ball boy did not give the ball to fans. That only started after the strike.
And players weren't throwing the third out into the stands either.
They'd make you pay, right? The front office. Didn't they keep track of that stuff?
You know what? I never did it, so they weren't taking anything out of my paycheck. That was frowned upon.
Off the glove of Huff. And it stops right there. And they will get Delman Young for the out. Nice play by Nunes.
Nunes is still limping as he's going to run back to his position. Huff put some glove on it. I think Ryan would have had it. But nice play by Nunes. He only had the barehanded chance to get him. Gloves, throws the stretch, and Young is out at first base. There it is on the other end at first. Looked like a hit up in the heel of the glove with Reynolds, but he held on. Nice play. It was 1-5-3.
hit sharply right at Cano in the second half.
Low line drive off the bat of Matt Joyce. But Cano snares it, holds the ball up for the umpires to see. And Joyce is out number 2. So now the Yankees can drop the infield back with Molina coming to the plate.
Jose's 0 for 2. Count 0-1. That one is Luke to Ryan. He makes the play. Brendan Ryan goes up and comes down with the third out as the Yankees have De Jesus stranded at third. Nice play by the Yankees shortstop. We're halfway through. Rays 3, Yankees 2. David Huff likes it. One of the lucky fans who've been able to get to be close to him. You can own a hand-signed item from the greatest closer of all time. A must-have for any sports collector. Autographed commemorative balls, jerseys, hats, and other fabulous items are available at Steiner Sports. So for more info, check the number listed on the screen or just check out steinersports.com. (1995 to 2013). We go to the bottom of the 5th, and Nunes jumps out of the way. He's had a nice night. Beautiful defensive play last inning, a double and a home run.
He's hit the ball hard twice. I think David Price remembers that. Nunes gives up the bat. Not taking any chances. On this 2-0 pitch, he got a chance to answer.
Kia scoreboard 3-2 Tampa Bay. High fly ball. De Jesus puts it away. Rays have some interesting choices when it comes to David Price. He was drafted by the kid from Vanderbilt, and he's very, very bright, making $10 million this year. They control him through the 2015 season, so they still have 2 years left of control of him. But unlike Evan Longoria, David Price said there will be no discounts, although he loves playing in Tampa Bay. He said he wants to sign the best contract any pitcher's ever signed. He said, I owe that to other pitchers that follow me, and if I take a discount, then that will also affect their salary. So do they trade him when they still have 2 years of control left, or do they trade him after this season and then they get a bigger package for him because the team that gets him still gets him for 2 years?
Well, you know, the Rays traded away James Shields. And they got their right fielder tonight in that deal, among others.
Well, if he's looking for the best contract, he's not getting it. They just can't afford it.
No.
I mean, that's not the game they're playing. And that's why they continue to develop pitchers, because you don't get pitchers on the cheap. You got to develop them, and he was the first pick in the draft, and he's certainly proven to be worth that.
The only way I think they would keep him, Michael, is if sometime very soon there's an announcement that they're going to build a new ballpark down there, so they can see revenue in the near future.
Well, let me throw this at you, Kevin. He's 27 years old.
Okay.
You have him for the next 2 years under your control, arbitration eligible. At 29, why would you sign him then to a big deal? Even if you had the money, would that make sense? I mean, he's probably seen his best days. He doesn't throw as hard as he used to.
How many years are you talking?
Well, if he wants the biggest contract of all time, it's got to be 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, you know what? By the end, that would be 36 or 37 years old. I don't think he'd be throwing like he was at 28 or 25. Or he's 28 now.
Now, you could look at the contract the Yankees gave CeCe and say, hey, it was worth it. They won a World Series when they got him. But at the end of that contract, right now, is CeCe throwing the same way as he was in 2009? I mean, pitchers just get older.
They have to make adjustments as they go along to the fact that maybe there's a lack of velocity, a lack of power. You know, all of a sudden you're not striking as many people out. Either your control has to be much, much better. I think that's one thing CeCe's going to have to work on. Keeping pitches out of the middle of the plate.
0-2 to Cano. I think length of contract is a thing that most teams stress over, and that's what it's going to come down to with the guy in the batter's box as well, Robinson Cano.
Yeah.
I mean, you're giving him a 10-year deal at the age of 31. Those are the questions. And Yankee president Randy Levine said there is no sign at any cost player. There's just not.
Well, you just saw a hitter prior to Cano who had had 2 of those deals.
Right. And, you know, Randy Levine and the rest of the organization, they want Cano back. But that doesn't mean, okay, you give a check and a length and say, here, you put it whatever number you want. I don't think they look at anybody like that, because the Alex contract might come back to, well, it has come back to bite them. Albert Pujols in the second year of his deal looks like what happened there. Now, in fairness, Alex's first contract that he signed at the age of 26 with the Rangers wouldn't have been a terrible deal. But after he opted out, the next 10-year deal is the one that's painful. So length of contract, that's what the Rays also have to deal with. So Cano grounds out the first 1-2-3 inning. We go to the 6th, 3-2 Rays. addition, as a new season ticket holder, you will enjoy significant savings and flexible payment options. Your legacy starts now with 2014 season tickets. Call 212-YANKEES or just email seasontickets@yankees.com to place your first installment on your 2014 New York Yankees season tickets. 3-2 Tampa Bay here in the top of the sixth. Count 1-1 to Kelly Johnson.
Well, we were talking about the number of injuries the Yankees have used. They've used a franchise record 56 players this year.
Anderson banks the play.
And one way you make the playoffs, you have a relatively injury-free season as Huff picks up the first out here. And when you look at the Rays on the other side of the field, they've used 40 players this year. So they've only 2 teams in the major leagues have used fewer players than the Rays. The Detroit Tigers and the Cincinnati Reds have used 39 players.
Zobrist pops it up, and it's out of play.
So the Rays have, we mentioned their defense has been much better this year. Much, much better than last year. Their pitching's been solid. They had one really big, long winning streak this year where I think they went like 25-4 or 25-6. And that kind of propelled them into the wild card picture. The Yankees haven't had anything like that this year.
They have not had that run.
No, they have not.
0-1-1. Grounded up the middle. Knocked down by Ryan. Not in time. That's a base hit.
You know, Ryan, once he didn't come up with it cleanly, I think he would have been better off holding it. I know he made an accurate throw, but sometimes you got to realize that you're not going to have a chance to get the guy. You know, Zobrist runs pretty well. So once you have to chase the ball down that far, you're more apt to you have a better chance of making a wild throw, and he ends up at second. Still showing a lot of range to his left just to knock that ball down.
Will Myers grounds one to Ryan. There's one on to first. Not in time.
Ball kind of off the end of the bat. Wouldn't hit that hard. Throw is accurate to Cano, and here's relay, but Myers showing off his skills. Not only is he a good hitter, he runs pretty well. And getting down the line and across the bag before the ball is received by Mark Reynolds. I'll tell you, the more I see of Myers, you can see he's going to be a good player for a long time. I mean, he's a run producer. He drives in runs, plays a decent outfield.
If he becomes a player that people think he's going to become, a lot of second guessing of that deal by Kansas City, especially it doesn't like Kansas City's making the playoffs. So they made that deal to pick up 2 good pitchers because they thought they were ready to at least get a wild card. And if you're Kansas City, you're eventually not going to sign James Shields.
I'm saying I'm not ready to say that they lost out on the deal yet, because I think they made a move this year into wild card contention.
Right.
The next year would be the win a division against, well, that's tough with the Tigers there, but get yourself into the wild card picture and win one. But they wouldn't have done it without James Shields this year.
Well, he's been good for them.
He's been good. He hadn't gotten that much run support. Overall record might not look good, but he's eaten up innings, something he did in Tampa Bay.
But Will Myers could be a guy who's here for 12 years.
You got that right. I mean, Kansas City had no pitching.
The 0-2. 3-2 Rays lead. Top of the 6th inning. Runner on first base, 2 outs. Huff has done a good job in relief of Hughes. Base hit to center field. Can't get Loney out. 3 for 3 with a walk. And a run scored in a ribby.
I guess you got to classify that one as a line drive. Tell you one more note on Will Myers as Longoria comes to the plate. We have a little time here with the discussion on the mound. Baseball America annually picks the minor league player of the year. And you go back, last year it was Myers. The year before that it was Trout. The year before that it was Jeremy Hellickson, Jason Hayward, Matt Wieters, Jay Bruce, and Alex Gordon in that order. They haven't missed any.
No, they have not. There's Longoria, first and second, 2 outs. Grounded foul. Right in on the hands and foul back. It's strange how good Huff has been in relief, Kenny, and the one time he started against the Red Sox, he got pulverized. So some guys are just better coming out of the bullpen. Also, the Red Sox do make pitchers look bad.
Oh, they don't swing at many pitches out of the strike zone. Huff, this is his second time through the order. Matt Daly's warming up in the bullpen for the Yankees.
1-2. Driven deep to left field. Going back, Soriano turning, looking, see ya. A home run for Longoria, a 3-run shot. And now it's 6-2 Tampa Bay.
I was about to say that sometimes when you're a pitcher, your limit is like one time through the order. You can get people out, fastball, changeup. Longoria finding the range. He only had 1 home run in his last 29 ball games. This is his 30th of the season, but it's been quite a while coming. And it's a big one, a 3-run shot here in the 6th inning.
Well, that will bring up David DeJesus. He is 2 for 3. Longoria, as Kenny mentioned, 30th home run, now 81 runs batted in. As DeJesus launches one deep to right center. See ya. Back-to-back home runs for Tampa Bay. And it's 7-2 Rays.
As I said, a fastball, changeup type pitcher. Doesn't throw many breaking balls. And sometimes you talk about him being more effective in relief. It's because one time through, and that's the limit. You have to be careful from that point on. And this is the second time through the order for Huff, and the Rays seem to be finding the range against him. DeJesus, his second home run with the Rays.
Well, Girardi is going to go to the bullpen. Huff's night is over. Along, he relieved Phil Hughes in the third inning, and then it fell apart here with 2 outs in the 6th. Back-to-back home runs, a 3-run shot by Longoria, then a solo shot by DeJesus. Now they turn to Matt Daly. DeJesus has had a big 2 games here today. 3 more hits, single, double, and a home run. 7-2 Rays over the Yanks. Daly deals to Delman Young. Breaking ball strike. Ground ball up the middle. Brendan Ryan is there. And it gets Young for the final out. 4 runs for the Rays. The 3-run home run by Longoria. The solo shot by DeJesus. Time now to look at what's on Fox and Friends tomorrow. Weekdays at 6 a.m. on the Fox News Channel.
Toyota Prius, official hybrid vehicle of the Yankees.
Well, David Price has some breathing room with the 4 runs in the 6th inning as Tampa Bay leads 7-2. Soriano will lead off. He has struck out twice against Price in the count 0-1. And 2.
Here Price out on the mound, particularly when he delivers the fastball. He got that little groan in there.
Popped up, right side. Noni makes the play for the first out. Tomorrow's starting pitcher is brought to you by Verizon Fios, making life more entertaining with America's fastest, most reliable internet that's powerful. Ivan Nova's been the Yankees' most reliable starter in the second half, 9-5, 3.13. Go up against young Alex Cobb, 10-3, 2.90. Our coverage begins at 6 p.m. with the BP show on. Yes, 6:30 is the pregame, and right around 7:07 will be first pitch. And it will also be the final home game in Mariano Rivera's career. A lot of people are asking me this, Kenny, and I have not heard. I know that Mariano has always long said that one of his dreams was to play center field in the big leagues. If the Yankees are in fact eliminated tonight, there are two ways that could happen. Would the Yankees do that? Let's say play him in center field in the 8th inning and have him close in the 9th. They probably can't do that. You know why? Because Tampa Bay's still fighting for something. Teams trying to catch Tampa Bay.
You're talking about here at the stadium, about when they get to Houston?
Houston, they could do something like that. Yeah. You talk to a lot of people that have been around the Yankees for a long time, and they say that he is the best defensive center fielder in the organization. They used to say that for sure when he was younger.
My feeling is, and this is my personal feeling, now if he wants to do it, he can do it. But he has been so dignified over all the years, and it's been the best at what he's done. Why would you do it? If it's a dream, that's one thing, and he wants to do it, sure.
Well, I agree. The only way you do it is if he comes in and asks, but I'm not sure he would do that. You know, fans say he's always said it was a dream. Yeah, it was a dream, but I mean, he's pretty much lived a dream career anyway. But we'll see. I mean, everything is up for grabs. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
As a kid, I dreamed of being a point guard for the New York Knicks. It didn't happen.
You did all right. The 2-2. Driven out to right field. Long run for Myers. Foul ball. Two to Wells. He goes down on strikes, 2-away. The Yankees have had such a hard time scoring of late. 2-1 they lose on Sunday. They get shut out yesterday. They're being shut out. Well, they got 2 runs today. But they're down 3-2 in the game, Kenny. And one thing that really jumps out at me, 3-2. And you've got first and third and 2 outs in the 4th inning. And Chris Stewart bunted.
Yeah.
He's not a speedster, so.
No, I've seen him get a bunt base hit before, and Longoria was playing back, and right now I think he's 2 for his last 21.
Yeah.
So maybe his confidence swinging the bat is not there. You see where Longoria is right now with 2 outs, nobody on. Of course, Reynolds is at the plate too.
Ground ball up the middle. Zobrist moves to the glove side. And a 1-2-3 inning for David Price as the Yankees go down in order. We go to the 7th. Tampa Bay 7 and the Yankees 2. Nissan dealer. 7-2 Tampa Bay. Longoria 2 for 4, 3-run home run. De Jesus 3 for 4, a double, a home run, 2 ribbies. And Nunes has had a real good night for the Yanks. 2 for 3, a double and a solo home run. Cesar Cabral will be the Yankees' 4th pitcher. Cadillac scoreboard 7-12-0, leading 2-6-2. So Desmond Jennings, his legs have been barking lately. He's going to pinch hit for Matt Joyce.
Yeah, he's had a left hamstring issue, and he's the starting center fielder just about every single day. But he was out there running before the game, so I guess he gave Joe Madden the green light.
And he gets a base hit on the first pitch. Now they take him out for a pinch runner.
Maybe it was a yellow light. It wasn't a green one. And Sam Fuld who's going to pinch run for him.
Grounded foul.
You know, as we get down to the latter stages, some of these young pitchers like Cesar Cabral on the mound, I know they say you can't really judge what a player does in September, or not so much, but he wants to earn an opportunity. Lefties out of the bullpen. You need them. Match up with those big left-handed hitters during the course of the season.
Grounded foul. The 1-2. Chopped up the middle. Cano to Ryan. Ryan to first. It's a double play. You know, Kenny, those two could have fun together.
Yeah, they could. They're both very slick around the bag. Of course, Molina, you get him to hit a ground ball, it's almost a guaranteed double play. That's the 11th he's hit into this year, and that is a career high. They're smiling. A little bit of awkward footwork for Ryan to find the bag. He was turned around a bit, but he He knew he had time with Molina going down the line. Just find the bag, touch it, throw the first. Now these are the matchups right here. Here we're going to take a look at the double play. Just get him the ball. Where's that? Yep. He got the bag. Now turn it over. A little exciting. I was going to say, these are your bats that Joe Girardi, Larry Rothschild are watching. Lefty on left for Cabral. How well does he do in these situations? Does he have that sweeping hook to put a lefty away?
The 1-2.
Not close enough to the strike zone. Talking about the one that looks like a strike but ends up out of the strike zone.
Strike 3. Johnson down looking. No runs a hit, no errors, and nobody left on base at the end of 6.5. Here at the stadium, it's time for the 7th-inning stretch. Rays 7, Yankees 2, but we'll stay and honor America here in the Bronx.
Ladies and gentlemen, may you please rise and remove your caps, and please direct your attention to the area behind home plate, and welcome 2 honored guests of the New York Yankees. United States Army Sergeant First Class Frank Helm, who served in Operation Iraqi Freedom, and United States Army Captain George Coltypen, who also served in Operation Iraqi Freedom. The Yankees say thank you for your sacrifice and service to our nation. Now, please join in Kate Smith's rendition of God Bless America.
Well, you don't get those wide open spaces out there in Colorado.
To vote for the Chevy part of the game, visit votechevy.com. Results will be revealed in the post-game show.
That's kind of neat. You know, Todd Helton, you look at his overall numbers, he might be making a Hall of Fame speech one day.
Be tight.
Yeah.
Cadillac scoreboard 7-2 Tampa Bay. Granderson will lead off. De Jesus has moved from center to left. And Sam Fold takes over at left.
Talking about Granderson having 4 home runs off David Price. Only one player has more home runs off Price, and he's a brand name. Jose Bautista of the Toronto Blue Jays has 5 against Price. Well, Granderson is the left-handed hitter with the most home runs off David Price with 4.
David Robertson getting ready. Still 1-2. Granderson, Ryan, and Stewart in the bottom of the 7th. Bottom of the 7th in Cleveland, and the Indians lead the White Sox 5-2. 7-2 right here. Rays on top. Strike 3. Jumping back away, and then it comes across the plate. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Yankees. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the New York Yankees.
As that last pitch is David Price freezes Curtis Granderson. The ball drops back over the inside corner for call strike 3. Yep, had plenty of play. You hear the grunt on that fastball as Price has now reached the 100 pitch mark.
High fly ball down the right field line. It's a foul ball.
Another look at this one. Let's see. Oh, man, about a foot. Maybe less. Being a double for Brendan Ryan.
The 0-2. Strike 3. Ryan down looking. He's got a little bit of Paul O'Neill.
A mini O'Neill. According to our producer, Bill Boland.
I mean, the bat gets punished. It's not a gentle serve of the helmet.
7 strikeouts now for David Price without a walk in tonight's game. He's only had one inning where he hasn't had a strikeout, and that was the fourth. And the way he's pitching tonight, it's hard to believe that Price has lost his last 3 decisions.
Drilled to left field. High fly ball, but foul.
He lost at Oakland. He lost against the Dodgers. And he lost to the Boston Red Sox at Tropicana Field. Lost to, I should say, the Angels in L.A. That grunt is kind of reminiscent of Nolan Ryan. He used to grunt when he threw his fastball.
Served into center field. Fold is there, and he'll put it away for the final out of a 1-2-3 inning as Price has retired 10 in a row. We're going to the 8th. It's 7-2 Tampa Bay.
Ron Howard for a new GMC Presents Center Stage. The Oscar winner looks back at his successful acting and directing career and previews his upcoming movie, Rush. It's a new center stage tonight after the postgame, only on Yes. I remember Ron Howard back in the days when he was Opie. Long time ago. And, of course, Richie Cunningham on the Happy Days. Michael, that must have been a good show. Hyundai Scoreboard.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
He was great.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if you want to stay up late, he's outstanding. He's really good.
Okay.
It's had one of the best careers in Hollywood. Think about it.
Yeah.
He's a great director. Here's David Robertson as we go to the 8th inning. 68th inning. Applications are now being accepted to replace Mariano next year. So you would think that David wants to get his application in. And Kenny, the thing that he has to deal with, he can't throw as many pitches as he does to get outs. Mm-hmm. Because you need a closer that can pitch 3 days in a row. When you throw 25 pitches an outing, you can't pitch 3 days in a row.
Yep.
I mean, there are some outings that Mo goes 9, 10, 11 pitches.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, if you need me. Like going to graduate school. You graduate from the 8th to the 9th inning. Some people would say the last 3 outs were the toughest to get.
Ground ball to first. Zobrist is out. Remember when Mo went down in Kansas City last year, their first move was to Robertson, who struggled, I think, for 2 games and then got hurt. And that spared them having to replace Robertson with Soriano. And once Rafael Soriano took over the role, I believe he had 42 saves. He was outstanding and got the Yankees into the playoffs, and they hardly missed a beat losing Mo.
I think he went 42 or 46.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
But I would think that unless they make a trade, David probably gets first crack.
I would think so.
Grounded to short. Myers is out.
Tell you what, Myers does not have it in cruise control. He doesn't have it. About 4 seconds to 0 to 60. He's moving.
Here's Loney. He's been on base every time. He's 2 doubles, a single, a walk, a couple of runs scored, a ribby.
Well, this is a key at bat, though.
300 at bat.
Yeah, he's hit 299. 300 looks a lot better in the box score the next day.
Two.
Mentioned Loney, a good solid line drive hitter. He's hit 13 home runs this year, driven in 74 runs now. But I was watching him in batting practice, and he just had the right field porch on his mind. He hit about 4 in a row in there. And it's kind of going against the grain for him.
I was reading a story yesterday, Kenny. Robertson was talking about everybody thinks Mo is so serious, and he said, but he's one of the great practical jokers. And out in the bullpen, he will take to throwing gum at people, like big, juicy wads of gum. He said, and Mo was, as Robertson gets Loney looking, had a big wad of gum through the length of the bullpen and got Robertson right in the ear. And said he was aiming for it. Okay, now you can enjoy your shake after that story. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. friends Jack Curry and John Flaherty recap tonight's battle and get the latest news from the playoff races around the league. Plus, Meredith Marakovitz has the reaction from the clubhouse, and you could also hear Joe Girardi's manager's report. It's the WB Mason postgame. It is only on Yes. We got a new pitcher for the Rays. It's Brandon Gomes. 24th game. 25 strikeouts and 17 2/3 innings.
All three of those wins have come here in the month of September. So he has been the right man at the right time as far as picking up victories out of the bullpen for the Rays this month. But he's trying to hold on for David Price here tonight.
Nunes pops it up. Molina makes the play. 1 pitch, 1 out.
See, the pitch is right there. And Nunes loses the bat as Molina loses the mask and the helmet and makes the play for the first out. A lot of picking up going on after that pitch.
Well, Ichiro Suzuki will pinch hit for A-Rod. Monday scoreboard 7-2 Tampa Bay. Ichiro has seen really truncated playing time of late. Seems like doesn't have that same spring in his step, and Girardi has moved away from him, employing Granderson and Wells a little bit more than Ichiro. So that's probably been a little bit hard for Ichiro to accept. He's been pretty much an everyday player his whole career. But when the Yankees made the trade for him last year, they told him, you're not going to be an everyday player. He played more, I think, than he thought he would.
And he's going to bat down in the lineup.
And also, Ichiro has his eye on history, and he would like to get to 3,000 hits, and now he's at least 2 years away because he didn't get enough hits this year. Let's see. Ichiro entered this year with 2,606 hits. And this year,
he has 134 with that one.
134 would put him at 2,740. So that's 260 hits. He's not getting that in 1 year. In the old days, he could.
He set the record.
Yep.
262 in 1 year.
And he is signed for next year, so he'll be back.
Now, Gomes on the mound has been very effective against righties, but he has problems against left-handed hitters.
A strike to Cano.
During his career, right-handed batters just 194, lefties over 300.
Late jump by Fold. He comes on. He can't make the play. And it's a base hit for Cano. Hey, this fall, Brooklyn Nets basketball is back on. Yes, headlined by new coach Jason Kidd and All-Stars Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Darren Williams. Brooklyn is primed for championship season, so don't miss the excitement of Nets on Yes, returning October 8th. Here comes Jim Hickey to talk with Gomes.
This is Hickey out on the mound talking with Gomes and also giving the bullpen time to warm up. Joel Peralta, one of their primetime relievers for the Rays, and one of the busiest relievers in all of baseball, is getting up again.
So here is Soriano. He's 0 for 3 tonight. So Soriano probably thrilled that Price is out. Did not have much success against him with the 2 strikeouts. A pop up to first. Yankees looking for the late rally. First and second, 1 out. Bottom of the 8th. One and 0. (7-2). Cleveland over the White Sox. Top of the 8th inning. Time for the 3-run jack right there. It's 1-1.
Yeah, Soriano with 50 runs batted in 54 games. Now 55 games with the Yankees, counting this one.
Two and 1. Along with Ken Singleton and Meredith Marakovitz, I'm Michael Kay. We thank you for joining us on this Wednesday evening. The Yankees trail the Rays 7-2, bottom of the 8th inning at the stadium. The 2-1. 2-2.
Off speed had Soriano out in front on a hitter's count. Big league pitchers have to be able to get their off speed stuff over when they're behind in the count. Hitters are all primed up for the heat, especially a hitter like Soriano, who's made a pretty good living hitting fastballs.
Hit sharply foul.
I think Soriano found a hairline fracture in that bat. Didn't sound that great after he fouled it off, so he's got a new moneymaker to work with.
Strike 3. 2 away.
Gomes makes a good pitch. Down to the outside corner. Let's see if Molina helps him a bit. Yeah, he pulls it back up. He's one of the best. Might have been a little low. Maybe Soriano thought so, but you can see the reception of Molina. Very adept at pulling that glove, just tugging it a bit back into the zone. And Soriano looking back at the home plate umpire, Mike Winters.
Wells takes a strike from Gomes.
We saw that with Molina was with the Yankees. Used to do that for A.J. Burnett. Just pull that ball, definitely just barely move the glove and get that called strike 3.
I've talked to catchers about it. You have to have incredibly strong hands to do that, because the force of the ball will move the glove away from the strike zone. And he's so strong that he's able to do it.
It's almost like it's a turn of the wrist more than the hand. You just.
Count 2-1. Two and two.
And you think about the Molina brothers, all 3 catchers.
All 3 world champions.
Yeah, that's Jose, of course, with the Yankees. Benji with the Angels. And Yadier with the St. Louis Cardinals. They can show off that bling for many years to come.
Two. 3-2.
Go.
A lot of catching there. 27 seasons combined. Three-two. Runners go. And a walk to Wells. Now the Yankees do have a left-handed hitter on the bench. A couple. They've got Overbay, and they also have Travis Hafner, who was activated off the 60-day DL today, and replaced on the 60-day DL by CC Sabathia. So they're going to go to Overbay to pinch hit for Reynolds. And Joe Madden's going to go to the bullpen. Bases loaded. Yankees down by 5. Madden's trying to stop it right here as Gomes will depart. theaters October 11th by Wendy's. Now that's better. And by Jeep. Rediscover the freedom of the open road at the Jeep Celebration event. Joe Madden goes to his setup man, Joel Peralta, to try to get out of this 8th inning bases loaded 2-out jam. The numbers on Peralta, this is his 78th game, 71 strikeouts in 68 and 2/3 innings, 3-8 record. And Overbay pinch hitting for Reynolds. Reynolds was 1 for 3 tonight.
Peralta's been the busiest pitcher in the league, 78 games. More than any other reliever. Overbay 3 for 13 as a pinch hitter this year with a pinch hit home run.
Count 1-1 on Overbay.
Peralta has a good off-speed pitch, moves away from lefties. Slider, decent fastball. I wouldn't say he's overpowering, just his control, pretty good. Overbay trying to keep it going for Curtis Granderson.
One-two on Overbay. Peralta deals. If you watch Peralta in the set, kind of jiggles the glove a little bit, and if it wasn't something that he does every single time, that would definitely be a balk. Almost bounces it. When you play Kenny, I'm sure you think of Louis Tiant doing that. Like he'll come to a set, you'll see, and then just bounces the glove a bit. 2-2.
Now Louis would kind of, and then he wouldn't look when he was throwing the ball to home plate. He'd turn his head and then deliver the ball to home plate.
And then he did when he came to the Yankees, the greatest commercial for Yankee Franks.
I never saw it.
Oh, check it out on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's there. Eacher on third, Cano on second, and Wells is on first. 2 men out, bottom of the 8th inning. Yankees down by 5. Looking for a big hit from Overbay. Three and two.
There's a splitter. Held off.
Crowd of 37,260. making noise for the first time tonight. And now Molina wants to go out and talk with Peralta.
Now, Overbay does not represent the tying run, so I got to think this is going to be a fastball. If I was up there, I'd be looking for it.
And there's a walk, forcing in a run, and now that's going to bring the tying run to the plate. Madden's complaining about something.
He says it's not. Yes, it was low.
Mike, that's not down.
Oh, take another look.
That looked pretty low.
Yeah, even Jose Molina couldn't bring that up enough. Watch the way he receives it, pulls it back up.
Yeah,
Couldn't get the
low.
call. That was low.
Well, here's Granderson. One big swing away from tying this game, 7-3. Rays on top. And as the Yankees battle to try to tie this game, Cleveland has just beaten the Chicago White Sox, and the Yankees have been eliminated from the playoffs. They cannot catch anybody. Their tragic number was 1, and a Cleveland win officially knocks them out. Hit sharply right into the teeth of the shift, and that will do it as Granderson is retired. 1 run for the Yankees, 2 hits, and the bases are left loaded. We go to the 9th. Scoreboard, and the crowd knows the Indians have beaten the White Sox 7-2. You'll see it switch to a final, and with that final, the Yankees now have missed the playoffs for just the second time since this run started in 1995. 2008, the last year of the old ballpark, and now here in 2013. And really the run started in 94. When the strike hit, they were in first place. 95, they were the first wild card. 96, they won the World Series, and you know the rest from there. But 2008 and here 2013, they don't make it as Preston Claiborne takes over on the mound for the Yankees. And we are not here to make excuses for this team, to spin this in any positive way. The Yankees don't build teams not to make the playoffs. But when you consider everything that this team has gone through, and we touched on it earlier, all the significant knee buckling injuries, some of them repeat injuries, the big name players that were taken out of the lineup for lengthy periods of time, the fact that on the Wednesday of the last week, that one's going to be gone, a home run for Longoria. That makes it 8-3. The Wednesday of the last week, Kenny, they were still in it. That's not the way they want the season to be, but they did battle.
Yeah, as we said before, I think it's just too much to overcome. And a lot of pressure on the pitching staff early in the season. Longoria with his second home run of the game. He now has 4 runs batted in, 31 on the season.
And 9 of the 31 against the Yankees.
Wow. One-man wrecking crew.
Here's De Jesus, who is a triple away from the cycle. For Longoria, that was his 71st extra base hit. The leader in extra base hits in the American League, Chris Davis, with 94. Trout, 74. Miguel Cabrera and Evan Longoria, 71.
Well, we've seen Longoria hit one in the left field seats. Now we saw him hit one in the right field seats. And you were talking about that contract they had signed. And when he did sign that contract, he kind of became the face of the Rays.
High fly ball, shallow center.
And while he's been, I would say, the best player on the Rays, Evan Longoria, I think the foundation for their team and their success over these years with Joe Madden and Jim Hickey as the pitching, has been the pitching. You know, they wear down the rest of the division by putting a pretty good pitcher out there every single night. Longoria with a 3-hit night has scored 3 runs, driven in 4.
You see Claiborne on the mound, and well, he was such a pleasant surprise for the Yankees early, and he just seems like he's run out of gas. And sometimes that happens with young pitchers in their first go-round, as that one is scorched into center field. On the run is Granderson, and he takes an extra base hit away from Delman Young. But he's pitching games now he's never pitched before because minor league seasons are over. And I think he's a little short, or shorter than he was earlier in the season. They like his makeup, they like his stuff, his aggressiveness, but again, fastball not as fast the last month or two.
And you notice that they're trying to give him a little bit more time in between the outings. A little bit more time to recover.
That one is driven into right center field. It's a base hit for Fulb as Granderson gets the ball in quickly. 2-out single for Sam Fulb. Here is Molina, who is 0 for 4. And a swing and a miss. It's 8-3, Tampa Bay over the Yankees. Final home game of the season tomorrow. The final home game of Mariano Rivera's career tomorrow. Also for Andy Pettitte, but obviously he's not pitching. And I think that with the Yankees eliminated, Kenny, no matter what the score or situation, you're going to see Mariano Rivera tomorrow.
I would think so.
Andy's going to pitch on Friday in Houston, which is close to his hometown, so that has some symmetry to it as well. Swing and a miss, Molina. Down on strikes. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, and 1 man left. Bottom of the 9th, coming up, 8-3 Rays. By a score of 8-3, and it's going to be 8-9-1 in the Yankee order as the Rays bring in their left-hander Alex Torres. This will be his 38th game. Very, very good numbers, Kenny.
Particularly the last one, the 156 batting average against, 59 strikeouts in 55 2/3 innings, having a good year, only 30 hits. And one of the left-handed options out of the bullpen for Joe Madden. And he gets a call here. They're trying to set the Yankees down here in the 9th inning as the Rays lead 8-3.
The Indians eliminated the Yankees with their victory. And Kenny, it's impressive. A wild card that the Rangers didn't seem to want. The Yankees didn't seem to want for a while. The beginning of September, the Rays didn't seem to want. Now the Rays have started to play better. They beat Baltimore 4 in a row. They're about to beat the Yankees 2 in a row, so they have a 6-game winning streak. And the Indians just won their 6th straight game. So when they needed it the most, those two teams stepped up.
Yeah, I think you have to give Terry Francona a lot of credit. First year managing the Cleveland Indians, and he'll get them into the dance.
Now Texas still has designs on it. And Texas is leading Houston by a score of 7-3.
Yeah, not quite into the dance, but you know they've got an invitation if they can hold on to it. Let's put it that way.
Ryan takes another strike. 0-2. Foul back. So Ryan, Stewart, and Nunes. Swing and a miss. Ryan throws down his bat in anger as Molina tosses to first to get the out. Strikeout 2-3. That brings up Stewart. And a strike. Fly ball center field. Sam Fold. And that's going to bring up Eduardo Nunes as the Yankees are down to their final out of the game. Nunes 2 for 4, double a home run.
He's had the best night offensively for the Yankees. Scored 2 of the 3 runs.
Count 1-2. This one hurt, so listen to his yell.
He's already limping at the start of the night. We saw that with his first double as he went into second base.
Foul back here. Two balls and 2 strikes. Ground ball to Longoria. This will do it. And the Yankees lose the game by a score of 8-3. Yankees have lost the first 2 games of this series. And there's one more home game and then on to Houston for the final series of the year. Stick around for the post-game show to find out who's tonight's Chevy player of the game. It could be Longoria with 2 home runs. He now has 9 of his 31 home runs this year against the New York Yankees. So the Yankees file into the clubhouse. But you stay right here. We've got more to come on Yes.